What's up, guys? Welcome back to the LOM podcast. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to my main channel, Jay Lyons. It will be linked in the description. So thank you if you do that. And if not, enjoy this episode. Peace. What's good? Welcome to the fucking podcast. It's me, Jay, your host, and we're chilling, baby. Oh, yeah. We're chilling super hard right now. Unbelievably chill. At least me, I am. It's a beautiful Tuesday afternoon here in Orlando, Florida. Very sunny. I don't know why I start the podcast talking about the weather. I do that a lot, right? That's like the small talk version of starting a podcast episode. It's like, oh, beautiful weather we're having. You don't give a fuck. Why do you care? You're not listening to this on a Tuesday afternoon in Orlando, so why am I telling you that? Why is that relevant to you at all? I guess it's kind of a way for you to get an insight on where my mindset is. You know, like the context in which I'm recording this podcast episode. It's sunny, therefore I'm happy. Basically what I'm trying to say is I'm all smiles. And if you're watching on YouTube, you'll know that I'm lying when I said I'm not literally smiling. Had more of like a smirk on, a cheeky grin, if you will. Basically what I'm trying to say is I'm happy. I'm happy, and I hope you're happy too. We're on episode 74, I believe, which is a huge milestone because that means next episode is episode 75, which is a big milestone because that means the next episode is 76, and so on and so forth. Every episode is a milestone, is the conclusion to this introduction. Every episode is a big milestone. So what are we going to talk about first? Well, I guess like if you listen to the last episode, I believe it was, you'll know that I went to Miami this past weekend. So you're probably waiting for the stories, right? Probably waiting to hear all the debauchery that me and my buddies got into while in Miami. Talk about my first legitimate trip to Miami. I've been to Miami before, but only like through, I'll say. I've only gone through Miami. I've never actually visited Miami. And I gotta say, even after this trip, I don't think I really visited Miami. Because I didn't realize this, but we didn't actually stay in Miami, like in terms of like downtown Miami. Like honestly, Miami was like 30 minutes away from where we were. So still would not consider where we were Miami, but I mean every place we went to, like the address was like Miami. And it's like, is it really Miami? You know? Like the strip club we went to was it's called Scarlett's. And it's called like Scarlett's Miami Strip Club. And it's like, it's not even in Miami. You know, like we stayed closer to the area of Hollywood, Florida, right? Just south of Fort Lauderdale. And it's like, is that really Miami? But anyway, so we didn't like legitimately visit Miami, but you know, we the entire time we said it was Miami because I guess that's where everyone calls Miami. Is that whole fucking area? Anything south of Fort Lauderdale is just Miami, I guess. Which I didn't know that. Living in Florida for 20 plus years, didn't realize that literally anything south of Fort Lauderdale was considered Miami. I thought Miami was considered Miami. That's what I thought. But yeah, so still, I guess we'll say we went to Miami. And like, I know there's a very large Spanish-speaking population in Miami, if not probably a majority of the population in Miami is Spanish-speaking. But I didn't quite realize that basically Spanish was the default language of Miami. You know, like I've been to Fort Lauderdale many times. I've never really experienced this, okay? But just south of Fort Lauderdale, it's like I said, that's considered Miami. So now we're in that world. It's like everywhere we went, people first spoke to us in Spanish, and I'm like, I don't know Spanish. I only know a few things in Spanish. I know some swear words. I know how to say stand clear of the doors. And, but yeah, other than that, I don't really know much Spanish. I can't hold a conversation. I probably won't be able to really understand what somebody's saying in Spanish. So luckily we had someone with us who spoke Spanish fluently. So that was nice. He was able to to help us out with talking to everyone in Miami. But yeah, it just kind of like threw me for a loop. I was like, I didn't realize that Spanish was like the default language of Miami. I mean, even like signs were in Spanish, and I'm like, this is insane. I didn't realize this. So I guess, yeah, probably a majority of the population does speak Spanish because it's like, that's what everyone's putting their signage as and speaking. But yeah, so we left here. We left Orlando, and it was like a 4-hour drive down to Miami. And I gotta say, like, I didn't really know what we're going to do in Miami because we didn't have like any plans. And that's because, like, I gotta say, like, the dude who was heading up the planning is kind of like a spontaneous person. Like, he doesn't want to plan for shit. He's just like, yo, let's just do whatever feels right in the moment, which, like, I guess I respect, but at the same time, it's like, I got a budget, I need to know what I'm spending money on. So I know, like, how much money I need to have available to spend, And so I didn't quite realize how expensive this trip was going to be, if I'm being real. But yeah, I guess also maybe we didn't plan a whole lot because the guy who was planning this whole thing was originally just going to have us drive down to Miami for this one strip club and drive back, And I'm like, damn, this strip club's got to be like something special if like you're willing to drive 8 hours there and back just for one night at this one strip club. Like it's got to be something special going on that you can't get at any other strip club. So like that's why I read some reviews on it. If you listen to the last episode, I talked about some Yelp reviews on this strip club, from like verified reviewers, which I think is insane. Like who has an account on Yelp, like, and it has like an avatar and everything. I've never met anybody who has like a Yelp account and legitimately puts reviews. But I mean, there's people who do that, and I'm just like, is there some sort of reward for doing that? Like, if you're not getting paid, why are you doing it, But people seem to love this place. I mean, like, this strip club had like 5-star reviews on Yelp. And so like people fucking love this place, And so I'm expecting this place is supposed to be super special, something different, Though I don't know how different because I've never been to a strip club beforehand, so I don't know. I have nothing to compare it to. But my buddy who really wanted to go to this place, honestly, I don't think he's been to any other strip club except for this one in Miami. So I don't know how he knows that this is the best one ever. But he says that this is the best strip club ever. We need to go here, blah, 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 all this stuff. And I was like, all right, fine, I guess we'll go. And so I was fully expecting to like just kind of like go there. And I really didn't want to get involved in any of the, what do you call it? The activities per se of the strip club. Because, I don't know, it just kind of felt weird going there, Well, like, I thought I was going to feel weird going there, and I actually did. I felt thoroughly uncomfortable being there, if I'm being real. And so, like, I just kind of thought, I was like, okay, I'm just going there to celebrate my buddy's birthday. He's going to get involved in the activities that he loves to do. I'm just going to kind of sit back and maybe pound a few beers, maybe. Also, I was thinking about not getting drinks because I knew they were going to be expensive, and they fucking were. Insanely expensive. I couldn't believe it. But yeah, so I was just kind of fully expecting to just pay the cover to get in, which was $20, by the way, which I think is ridiculous. but I guess it is Miami, you know? But yeah, it's like $20 to get into this place. And my buddy's telling us, he's like, dude, it's going to be worth it. It's going to be great. We're going to love this place, right? And yeah, I was just kind of expecting not to spend any money in there. I was just like, I'm just going to sit back. I'm going to let you do your thing and maybe we'll talk and hang out and all that stuff, but you know, I'm not going to do anything, you know? Cuz I didn't really want to do anything. And when I got there, like I said, I felt thoroughly uncomfortable. The entire time I'm like kind of like looking around and I'm like, I shouldn't be looking at any of this. I guess it was just kind of the way that I was raised. I'm like, I shouldn't be looking at women I don't know naked, you know? Like I couldn't look anywhere for more than 2 seconds without being like, I have to look someplace else because somebody just walked by me and I shouldn't be looking at them, you know? So yeah, I felt thoroughly uncomfortable being there. I did not like being there at all. But my buddy was like, dude, you just got to try it out. It's going to be awesome and all this stuff. And I was like, all right, you know, because he was trying to get me to do something, you know, so I was like, okay, fine. I had some cash on me because, you know, I was told to bring cash. So I brought cash and he's like, dude, turn that 20 bill into singles. And I was like, okay, fine. So I did it. And he's like, okay, let's go to one of the stages and like tip a little bit. And I thought what we were going to do was we're going to sit in one of the chairs at the stage and just toss a couple dollars, you know, do the tip thing, make it rain a little bit on Kitty Boom Boom. But what he decided to do was there was people sitting at the stage, which I didn't understand this. There was like actually empty chairs, but he didn't want to sit in the chairs. He went to the area where there's people sitting and just like reached over them to tip. And then he was trying to get me to do it. And I'm like, dude, that's fucking rude to like reach over someone who's like just sitting there. Like the dude's having a drink sitting at this bar at the stage or whatever. And my boy's just like leaning over them and like tipping dollars and shit. And I'm just like, I just don't want to do that. That's like kind of rude. And he's like, no, but that's what you got to do and all this shit. And I'm like, no. It's just kind of rude to do that. So I just kind of sat at the bar at the club for most of the night because I didn't want to do anything. I did tip a little bit and I still felt very weird doing it. And like, you know, I know that's how they make their money, but I kind of felt weird just being like, yeah, show me your titties. Here's a couple dollars, you know? Like, I was like, I shouldn't be doing this. You know, like I'm not proud of what I did. I'm not proud at all. I'm not proud about the money I spent there either because it was insanely expensive. Because I got a beer there because I had to kind of justify me being at the bar because it was kind of getting busy. It was very crowded in this place. And so I had to justify me being at the bar or else I had to give up my seat. And so I was like, okay, you know, just give me a Stella, you know. And she's like, okay, here you go. Pop the cap, gave it to me. And she's like, okay, that's $10. And I'm like, you fucking kidding me? $10 for a beer? But she popped the cap already, so I was like, I can't have her take it back, you know, because essentially you can't take it back. You can't put the lid back on. So I gave her the $10, and I had the beer, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I just spent $10 for a fucking Stella. You know, even at a restaurant, it's not even that much. I think at a restaurant, maybe a Stella is $6, maybe $7, depending on the restaurant. And like, still, that's pretty expensive compared to like getting a Michelob Ultra or like a Bud Light for maybe $5. But $10 for a beer? You gotta be shitting me, dude. But yeah, so I was low key looking forward to this club because I was told it was a great thing, and I was like, okay, I guess it's a different experience. And so I thought, hey, you know, maybe I'll pull up and, you know, with the camera, kind of record us walking into the place because you can't record it in the club. I mean, that's a big no-no. You're not supposed to do that. Actually, at one point, I had went to the restroom and I was coming back to the bar and I was checking my text because I was texting my friend a little bit when I was there. And while I was standing there texting, the bouncer came up to me, or like somebody came up to me, and they're like, "Yo, give me your phone." And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Give me your phone and show me what the last photo you took was." And I was like, "Oh, okay, here you go." And so like I gave him the phone, and he checked the photos, and I guess he just wanted to make sure I wasn't taking any photos of the strippers or anything like that. And he's like, okay, my bad, here you go, and gave me my phone and walked away. And I was like, holy shit, dude. Could you imagine if I was taking photos? I would never do that though, because I'm not an idiot. I know at least a little bit of strip club etiquette, even though I've never been to it. But my buddy Tasty Beats made sure to give us the rundown on what to do there. Which, by the way, even though, like I said, I was fully expecting to just essentially not spend any money except for cover at this place. While we were driving down there, Tasty is like, okay, I'm going to tell you guys like the do's and don'ts of the strip club. And basically he said that no matter what you do, you're going to have to pay for something, right? Because I was like, what if I just sit in a chair and just like let you do your thing for the entire night? And I'll just sit there, just kind of like enjoy the show, I guess. Like, what if I just sit there? And he's like, no, you can't do that. They don't want you sitting there. Like, you got to kind of like do something. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, what if I just like stand against the wall or something like that? And he's like, no, they don't want you to do that either. You're like, you got a tip. And they're like, oh, and then people are going to come up to you and they're going to try to talk to you and all this stuff and, try to get you to do a private dance. And if you don't want one of those, then, just let them know. And then you got to tip them $2 for their time. And I'm like, okay, so like I could just be sitting there minding my own business, not wanting to deal with anything. And someone comes up to me and starts talking to me and I'll be like, no, I'm good. I still have to tip them. Which I guess makes sense because like if I'm not there to spend money, like might as well like not waste their time and kind of like give them a couple of dollars for their troubles, I guess. But it's like everything he said, like no matter what you do, you gotta spend money, I'm like, you gotta be shitting me, man. And so so I spent the night just like giving dollars and shit for like them to leave me alone, essentially. And I felt bad though, because I was like, why am I here if I don't want to be here? But I was kind of there to support my buddy. It was his birthday, and so like I tried to get involved, but like I said, I kind of felt weird being there. I didn't like being there a whole lot, and my other buddy was kind of the same way. He got screwed out of money though, because he was kind of the same way like me, where he was like, I didn't really think that this was going to be my thing, but I thought I'd just try it out because I've never been to one before and all this stuff. And so like there was like this chick that came up to him and they were talking for a little bit, and then she asked like, oh, do you want a private dance or whatever? And he's like, sure, I guess I'll try it out. And this is where like shit gets confusing, because one of the rules or the do's or don'ts or shit like that Tasty was telling us was like, okay, one dance is 5 minutes, okay? But he neglected to tell us that it's not really 5 minutes, it's one song, okay? I don't know where he's getting one song is 5 minutes. I mean, most songs are max 3 minutes. So I don't know where he got 5 minutes. But anyways, he's like, a dance is 5 minutes and you pay them afterwards, and just for like there's like different tiers or something like that. Like he said like $15 is a dance like in the main room or something like that, like in public per se. And then 25 is for a private dance, and then there's 35 for like I guess an elevated dance. I don't really know how much more you can add to it. And considering I've never had one, I really don't know what the difference is. But yeah, so I guess like one dance is $25. It's basically what you're saying, like one private dance. And so when our friend came back from his dance, like maybe like 2 or 3 songs had gone by, right? And this lady was asking for like $140 or some shit. And I was like, what the fuck? And apparently like what happened was that she didn't let him know when like the 5 minutes was up. And so like a bunch of songs had passed apparently, and she was charging him $35 per dance, which like I said, I don't know what the difference between a $25 and a $35 is. And considering that he's never had either one, he probably didn't know the difference. And it wasn't until after he got screwed that Tasty was like, yeah, it's like one song and all this stuff. I'm like, well, you should have told him that, because then he would have been listening. He was like, okay, the song just changed. We're done, Because Because, I mean, short of you having a timer timing 5 minutes, how are you going to know that 5 minutes per se is up? Like, telling us it's one song is easier because then you're going to know when the song ends, right? You don't have to think about the time. You just know the song changed. But yeah, so he got screwed out of essentially all his money for that night. And so he was left with $1. No joke, not even kidding. He was left with $1. And there are ATMs in there to, withdraw some more money. But, dude, it's like a minimum of $20 you have to withdraw. And then there's a $10 fee for withdrawing money. So, like, if you want $20, you're paying $30 for it. I'm like, that's fucking insane. $10 fee for withdrawing your own money. It's my money. I got to pay a fee for that. But yeah, so he couldn't really do anything for the rest of the night. I had cash, but I didn't want to spend it. I did spend the 20 singles over the course of the night. And Tasty had tons of dances with a bunch of the dancers and all that stuff. And yeah, he was thoroughly happy. He thought I had a bad time because he didn't think I had the full experience. And I'm like, dude, I really don't want the full experience if I'm being real. You know, it was like a one-time deal. You know, I'm not a huge fan. It's not really my thing. Considering that regular clubs aren't really my thing, like, why would you think strip clubs would be my thing, you know? Yeah, so I don't know if I don't think I'm ever going to go back to a strip club because it's just like, it's not really my thing. I guess I could see the appeal, you know, of some guys. It's like, okay, you can't get interaction from like normal women in real life, so you got to pay for it. I get it. But that's just not me, you know? Because, like, also on the way there, Tasty was telling us, he's like, oh, you know, you can also just tip them to talk to you. And I was like, that is fucking sad. I'm 100% real. That's the saddest shit I've ever heard. You're paying a woman to talk to you, to just give you company. Like, how down bad do you got to be to do that? And I'm not even kidding. There was people who were doing that. At the bar I was sitting at across the bar, because it was like a circle bar, like in the middle of the floor. So there was like across the way, there was this guy that was, I didn't realize that he was paying her to hang out with him. I thought they were like together or whatever. But it wasn't until I saw that he was like tipping her. I was like, oh my God, he's just tipping her to hang out with him. That's so sad. Like, she just looked like the most normal looking girl, you know, too. It's like, it's not like she was half naked or anything like that, you know, because there was a guy next to me who was tipping her to hang out with him, but like she had her top off, you know. So like, I guess at least he was getting something for his money. But like, this girl was just like, just a regular dress, you know, real pretty. She was just hanging out with him, and he was just tipping her money. I'm like, that's so sad. And I guess he ran out of money because then she moved on to a different guy, and he was doing the same thing, just paying her to hang out with him. I was like, dude, that's so sad. You're just paying a woman to just talk to you. That's what I mean. Like, you can't, you can't talk to a woman in real life without paying for it. Because also it's funny to see like how fake the personalities are. Like, there was numerous times where like you see these ladies get into character before they start talking to a guy. You know, I was sitting at the bar and I was drinking with my buddy who got screwed out of his money, so I was kind of keeping him company for a little bit. And I saw these two ladies that were just like walking around. They just kind of like look normal. They're just kind of like looking around, like, oh, who's our next man, you know? And then the one girl like tapped the other one and pointed at this guy, and then they like got into character, bro. It was insane to just see like the snap change. And they just like went up to this guy and they're like, oh, hi, how are you? And I was like, bro, it's so fucking fake. So like when the women were coming up to me, like, it was hard for me to just like try to have like small talk conversation, because Tasty was like, you know, just to have small talk with them, you know, and all that shit. Cause he was like, oh, they're so real. And I'm like, I knew it was so fake though. I was like, I know that you were just 2 feet behind me getting into character. Like, I know that for a fact. So it was kind of hard for me to just like actually be involved in the conversation. So they're just like, oh, how are you? And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Here's $2. I felt bad though. There's like this one chick that actually got pissed at my friend Tasty because he didn't want to dance from her or whatever, and she came up to him and he's like, hey, here you go, here's $2 for your troubles, and she gave him like this like cheeky smile where she like, it's like, fuck you, and it's like, fine, I'll take the $2 back if you don't want it, It's like that's the easiest $2 you've ever made in your entire life. I gave you $2 for simply saying, how are you? And I said, good, here's $2. Bye. But yeah, so we got there around like midnight or whatever, because it took a long time to drive down to Miami, dude. It took 4 fucking hours. And I was like already tired getting there. But I had to support my friend, celebrate his birthday and all that stuff. And so we got there around midnight, and we got in, and Tasty wanted to stay there until 6 a.m. And considering my buddy had no more money, so he couldn't do anything even if he wanted to, and I felt thoroughly uncomfortable being there. I didn't want to be there anymore. I was like, no, like I'm not staying until 6 a.m. So we left around 4, which still 4 fucking hours in this place of me being thoroughly uncomfortable. But I guess happy birthday, bud. Not to feel ungrateful or anything, because like I appreciate him inviting me out to Miami, and I gave it a shot. I tried it out. I don't know, but it wasn't really my thing. It wasn't my thing at all. Like I'm more of, I believe I talked about this before, but I'm more of like just like a friend kickback kind of thing. Like either you pull up to my house and maybe we'll grill at my house. Like I got an outdoor bar at my patio. Like we can maybe make up a few frozen drinks, a few pina coladas, right? I'll hop in the fridge. I'll get you guys a beer or wine or champagne, whatever you guys want. It's like, or soda if you don't want to drink, and then we'll grill, have some burgers and shit like that. Like that's kind of like my thing. Or just going to a bar and hanging out with your friends. Like someplace that's not super noisy. Because the music was blasting in this place. Like I could even like trying to talk to the ladies there. Like it was hard for me to hear them because the music was blasting. So like half the time I didn't even know what they were telling me. I was like, no, I'm good. Because I just assumed that most of them were just asking for a private dance. This one chick, like no small talk. She just walked up to me and said, do you want a private dance? I'm like, no. No, like, hey, what's good? Nothing like that. Like I just random woman walking up to me asking me if I want a private dance. I'm like, no. But yeah, so we only stayed there until like 4 a.m. and then we left, and we went to Denny's afterwards because Tasty wanted to get some food. I wasn't that hungry. I just got a milkshake while I was there, which I guess was all right, We got back to the hotel, and yeah, and so we went to bed. We fell asleep around like 6 a.m. and I got a 6 a.m. alarm. Like that's when my alarm goes off on my phone. That's when I wake up every morning, or at least that's when I try to wake up. I don't actually get up until like maybe 7 or 8. So I kind of just lay in bed thinking about life or on my phone for like an hour after my alarm goes off. So like right when I got situated, when we were in Miami, right when I got situated to go to sleep, my alarm went off and I was like, you got to be shitting me. It's 6 a.m. already. This is when I'm getting up. But yeah, so we went to bed. I shut off my alarm. We went to bed. And I woke up the next morning around like 8. But I kept like drifting in and out of sleep until like around 11. And I got up. My other buddies, they were still passed the fuck out from the night before. And I was like, I don't really want to wake them up. We were out late, but I was up. I wanted to do something. So I just went down to the pool and the beach because we were in a beachfront hotel, which was fucking nice, I got to say. Yeah, so I hung out at the pool for a few hours until my buddies woke up. And Tasty wanted to go to another strip club like during the fucking day, dude. It was like 4 o'clock and he's like, let's go to the strip club. I'm like, is it even open? I thought that was a nighttime thing, But once again, my other friend, I'm just going to give him a fucking name because it's like, I'm going to stop saying that he's just my friend. I'm just going to call him Steve. I don't know if he wants his name spilled. So I'm just going to call him Steve, okay? So considering that Steve didn't have any money left, he just had $1. He's like, dude, what am I going to do? I can't even pay cover to go in. And so we didn't go to another strip club, and I was kind of glad because I didn't really want to go back to another one. But yeah, we went to Taco Bell because Tasty's really into Taco Bell. And I hardly go to Taco Bell. I mean, it's not bad food, I guess, but it's like if I'm like looking at a fast food restaurant, I'm picking like Chick-fil-A, you know? Like Taco Bell's not really on my radar, you know, of like places to stop at. But anyway, so we went to Taco Bell, and yeah, there was a strip club right next to Taco Bell, and Tasty wanted to go in there, and we're like, we don't really want to go in. It was like 4:00. He's like, all right, well, I'm gonna check it out. And he went in, and he's like, yeah, there was like nothing good going on. I was like, yeah, what do you expect, dude? It's 4:00. Okay, considering that most strip clubs don't open until like, I don't know, like 8 or something like that. It's like, dude, you're 4 hours early, you know. But they were offering free lunch at this place, at this strip club, free lunch. And I'm just like, damn, that must be some really shitty food if you're giving it away for free. But yeah, so we went back to the hotel. We went to the beach for a little bit because they were finally up, and so we went walking on the beach. And then we decided to go to Olive Garden like late at night. So Olive Garden closes at 11. At least this one did. And it was like 9:30 or something like that. And so like, okay, well, if we're going to go to Olive Garden, we should leave right now so we can get there around 10 and we have like an hour to eat or something like that. And because Steve didn't want to be like those types of people that stays after closing and kind of like keeps the waiters there and keeps the people working there after hours and all this shit. But like for whatever reason, I got ready like the moment we said that. So I was ready to go. But the other guys, they were just like kind of talking. They just kept talking about how they don't want to be the people holding up the waiters. Like, yeah, you know, we kind of should leave around now, you know. And they're like doing mathematical equations on like the time it takes to get there and the time it's going to take and all this stuff. And I'm like, how about instead of like doing these mathematical equations, how about we just fucking go? You know, the earlier we leave, the earlier we'll finish eating. You know, but we didn't actually end up leaving until like 10:15, so we didn't get there until like 10:30, borderline 10:40. And so we were there after hours, and like I felt bad. And I was like, we ended up being those people, you know, like there was like actually another party in the restaurant, but other than them, we were like the last people in this restaurant. And I'm like, we were those people. We became those people because we stayed here too fucking late. But yeah, I got like that soup that's got like, it's like chicken and dumplings basically. I fucking love that dish, dude. I love those dumplings. I always get that soup whenever I go to Olive Garden. And like this time, they actually gave me a shit ton of dumplings. One time I went to Olive Garden and I got that soup. And when they brought the soup over, there was like 2 dumplings in the entire bowl of soup. I'm like, are you shitting me, dude? Where's the fucking dumplings? And so I finished the soup and I asked for another one. Because I think you get like, I don't know, is it like endless soup or something at Olive Garden? Something like that. Anyways, I got another soup and I was thinking, okay, I'll get more dumplings this time. They came back, I got 1 in that one. And I was like, are you shitting me with this? Where are the dumplings? I want dumplings. But this time I got it and they put like 8 in there and I was like, oh my God, you guys know what's up. You know what the fuck I want. You know, I would have gotten another soup, but I didn't want to hold up the people working there. And also, I wasn't really that hungry because we just had Taco Bell like a few hours earlier. I mean, I guess it's like 5 hours earlier, but still, I just wasn't really that hungry. And so I just want to get my main dish and get that done, and so we can leave. But yeah, then we got the breadsticks too. Love those breadsticks. Bro, they brought them out piping hot, dude. I couldn't even hold the bread. It didn't even give us plates. And so like I'm like trying to juggle this breadstick in my hand because it's so fucking hot. And I'm like, I'm glad it's hot because bread is good hot, but I can't even hold this shit. Can you give me a plate? But they never gave us plates. But I guess it was fine. We had the breadsticks, like my hands are fine. You know, but I had to kind of juggle it a little bit. Mr. Breadman. Juggling the bread a little bit. But yeah. So then we went back to the hotel. Tasty wanted to go to a regular club, but we couldn't like find one in the area, and so we're like, there's really nothing to do. Let's just go back to the hotel. Tasty wanted to go back to Scarlett's because his favorite dancer, she wasn't there the night we went the night before, and so he's like, I want to go again to see if she's there and get a dance or whatever. And but we didn't end up going back. And yeah, so we just went back to the hotel and then woke up the next morning and drove back. It was kind of a pain in the ass to get the car though, because at this hotel there was no parking lot for this hotel for you to like manually park, you know? Like it was valet only. And so we brought the car in and they gave us the instructions like, okay, when you want your car, you got to call this number 20 minutes beforehand so we can get the car and drive it to to the hotel and all that stuff. And so we're like, oh, okay. So the first time we called the car, we called 20 minutes before. In fact, I think we called 30 minutes before. We called and then we got ready and all this stuff and we got down there and the car wasn't there and we're kind of like waiting around a little bit. We're like, okay, maybe there's a bit of a line because there were a few people waiting for their cars as well. And we were waiting there for like 30 minutes. And at a certain point, I was like, dude, should we just inquire about the car? I mean, it's been like an hour since we called and the car's not here. And so Steve went up to the guy and he's like, hey, you know, where's the car? Have you guys got the car? You guys get in the car? All this stuff. I'm like, oh, okay, we'll go get it. And then they ran and got the car. I was like, okay, that's a little weird. I thought the whole point was for us to call beforehand so you run and you get the car so we don't have to wait for you to do that. Like, I thought that was the whole point. Maybe I'm wrong, you know? And then the second time we called, the car was like the same thing. We called 30 minutes beforehand, and then we came back when we came down to get the car, it wasn't there. And so we didn't even wait. Like, we just went up to the people and we're like, hey, are you guys getting in the car? Like, where's the car? And they're like, oh, okay, we'll get it. And they ran over and they got the car. And so the last day when we were actually leaving, we didn't want to wait for the car because it seemed like everyone in the entire hotel was checking out the same time as we were. And so they were hella backed up in cars. And so Steve went up to one of the valet people and said, hey, can I just get the car myself? You know, just go over to wherever you guys park it, pick up the car and drive it back. I'm like, oh yeah, sure, go ahead. You know, he's like, okay, so where's the car? And so across the street from the hotel is a parking garage. But that parking garage is like, if you look on Google Maps and even the signage, it's public parking. And it's beach public parking, right? And so we assumed it wasn't in there, but we just wanted to make sure. So Steve was like, okay, is it in that parking garage across the street? And they're like, no. It's in the building behind that one. And it's on the 4th floor. And he's like, okay, so this parking garage across the street, it's not in there. It's in the one behind it. And they're like, yeah, on the 4th floor. So we're like, got it. So we left Tasty at the hotel to watch over the bags because also he had leftovers from Olive Garden. So he wanted to eat those before we left. And so we let him eat. Me and Steve, we went over to get the car. So we crossed the street, walked past the parking garage, and sure enough, there was another parking garage behind. And so we're like, okay, it's in that one. So we walk up to the parking garage, and there's literally no way around to like the backside of the parking garage, at least from our perspective, the backside of it. Like it was all fenced off. There was no way to the backside. But the only like entrance per se, the only thing that could open was the exit for the parking garage, right? It was like an automatic gate, and it's an exit only gate. And there was no door to walk in. You know, there was nothing like that. It was all fenced off. And so the only way to get in from our perspective was to wait for a car to exit, and then we walk in while the gate is open before it closes. So we were waiting there for a car to leave, and then the car left. Okay, here's our chance. We run in, and we go up to the 4th floor, which was the top floor of this parking garage, and there's no car. Our car's not there. And we're like, where's the car, you know? And so we kind of checked the floor below it because we're like, okay, maybe it's based off numbers, right? Because usually when you go to a hotel and shit, if you have like a room like 301, that means the room is on the 3rd floor, right? The first number is usually whatever the floor the room is on, right? For people who don't know that, there's a little trick of the trade, I guess you could say. Now you always know where your room is. There you go. So we're like, maybe it's based off the number because like for whatever reason, when we were on the 4th floor and we knew it was the 4th floor, okay? I know for a fact it was the 4th floor. For whatever reason, the numbers of those spots were 5. They were like in the 500s, right? And then we realized that it wasn't based off floors. It was like just in order. It was like 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to like 600 or whatever. So we went to the 400s in this parking garage because we're like, okay, maybe it was just like the number is 400 something. And so the person just assumed it was on the 4th floor, right? And so we went and the car wasn't there either. And we're like, dude, where is this car? Like, we went looking throughout the entire parking garage looking for this car. And the entire time we got the keys and we're like trying to get the horn going. No car. Nowhere to be seen or heard. So we're like, okay, well, maybe we should go back and ask them specifically. We're like, hey, can you help us out? Because you told us the wrong parking garage, right? But we thought on the way back, we should probably stop in this one across the street because we're like, it honestly would make more sense if somehow they were able to park the cars in there versus this thing. Because the parking garage that we were in was like really fucking run down. Like, it was dilapidated as shit, you know? And so we're like, okay, well, we don't know where to exit, so we just figured we'd wait for another car to come through, and then we'll just exit with that car through the gate we came in. And luckily, there was quite a bit of traffic in this parking garage. Like, luckily, there was people coming in and out all the time. So we didn't have to wait too long. We just walked out, and we go into the other parking garage, the one that was directly across the street, the one that we were told it's not in. It's in the one behind that one. We went up to the 4th floor. Boom, there's the car. Like, right when we get out the elevator, it's like right there at the elevator. And we're like, what the fuck were you telling us that it wasn't there? You know, you were telling us it was in this other parking garage, and it's in the exact one that across the street, the one that you said it wasn't in. And so I was thinking, like, maybe we should have had Tasty talk to these people, because like maybe they just didn't understand what you said. Because as I said before, it's like Spanish is the default language in Miami. It's like a completely different country. So like, I don't know, maybe they just don't understand like what you were saying. I don't know. But anyways, we got the car, we got it back to the hotel, picked up Tasty, and we drove back. Another long ass drive, 4 hours. And yeah, we made it back. We made it back to Orlando. And I gotta say, like, all in all, it was a fun trip. It was fun. It was an interesting experience. To say the least. But I did have fun. I got to plan a different trip to go down to like actually Miami, like actual downtown Miami, because I did ask for suggestions from people on my Instagram story. I asked for suggestions on like where to go in Miami, and like everyone who sent me something to do in Miami, it was like someplace in downtown Miami, and Tasty and Steve like didn't want to drive all the way down there. I mean, I kind of didn't want to drive that far because it was like a 30-minute drive, and considering the time that the time we had left of the day, you know, I was about to say it probably wouldn't be worth it, but honestly, at the same time, it's probably like evening is probably the best time to hit up Miami instead of like going during the day. You know, so I guess maybe we should have drove down there, but we kind of didn't want to go because also like where do we park the car, the gas, all that shit. I don't know, but I'm gonna have to plan a different trip to Miami, a more Miami trip, like a trip actually in Miami instead of 30 minutes away from Miami, but we still consider ourselves Miami. Because I don't, if I'm being real, I don't consider it Miami. Okay. Sorry, Scarlets. I know you guys say, oh, we're the Miami Strip Club. No, you're not. You're not Miami. You're in Hollywood, Florida. That's where you guys are, okay? It's not Miami. But anyways, yeah, I don't think I'm going to go back to a strip club. It's not my thing. I felt very weird being there. Tasty was like right at home. You know, he loves that place. I don't want to make it sound like that he's like addicted to this shit, but I guess it's kind of like people who like regular clubs, you know? It's like people who like really enjoy going to regular clubs for whatever reason. I don't get it because I'm not into that type of stuff, you know? Like, I'm a very sociable person. Sociable, you know? I'm a very social person. I like talking to my friends instead of blowing my eardrums out, you know? That's what I like doing. Like, it low-key peeves me sometimes when I go to, there's like this restaurant that I like eating at over at Port Canaveral. And like sometimes they'll have people who like do like live music and shit like that. And like it's nice. I thoroughly enjoy the music. You know, I've been to a place that's kind of like that restaurant, but doesn't have music, and it feels very weird because I'm like, there should be some music playing, you know? It's a little too quiet, right? But at the same time, even though I enjoy the music, it is like a lot of times, depending on how close you are to the stage, it's very hard to hear anything other than the music because it's so damn loud. It's like, I get it. You know, you're a musician, you want people to see and hear you, but can you tone it down just like a little bit so I can have a conversation with people? Like, trust me, I hear the music and I do appreciate it. You know, trust me, I love it. You're a great singer, you're a great guitarist, steel drum player, but I also would like to speak a little bit, you know? But yeah, so I like talking to people. And so like, going to the club where like you can't talk to people is kind of like not my thing. It's like I can't do what I enjoy doing, you know? But I still have fun going to the clubs, you know? It's like when my friends invite me and I go to the club, it's not like I'm bored out of my mind, you know? Like I have a lot of fun. Like they are fun. But it's just like if I were to plan events with my friends, club is not even on my mind. Not even. I'm like, it's not even an option. It's not even on the table. It's under the table. It's so off the table, I can't even see it. It's nowhere near a table. It's not even under it anymore. It's nowhere near the table. It's like the table's like 500 miles away. But yeah, so it's kind of the same thing with strip clubs. It's not my thing, but it's Tasty's thing. He loves going to the strip club. It's insane because he's like one of my cheaper friends, you know? Like usually if we were to do something, he's always the one that wants to save money, right? He's always like, "Oh, I don't want to buy this cuz that's too much money. Oh my gosh, that's like so expensive." But then, you know, he goes to a strip club and drops a couple hundred. And it's like, how are you like this? How are you so cool with just like throwing your money away quite literally? At a strip club, but you won't do it when you get like an actual physical product in return for it. You know what I mean? There was like some guys in there where like you could tell that they're professionals at throwing money. Like this one guy, I saw a couple guys, but there was like this one guy that had like a stack of dollar bills in his hand, and he like tossed it, and he threw it, and it would just like it shot directly where he was trying to go, and it only rained on the stage, and he was like 10 feet away. I'm like, how did you do that? That must be from years of practice of throwing money. Because like we even tried, when we got back to the hotel, like we had a bunch of us, we had like a ton of extra ones, right? And so we just like made a pile. It had to have been like, I don't know, like 20 ones or something like that. And we tried tossing it, and like it just exploded in our hands. It just like rained right in front of us. It didn't go like a foot, or it went a foot, but it just was like one pile. It just like just clumped on the floor. And this guy, he like shot it with his hand. Like he was insane. I couldn't believe it. I was like, that's years of practice. This guy's been coming here for a long time, or places like this for a long time. And it had to have been like a stack of like 50 ones. I mean, there was a shit ton of dollar bills. I couldn't believe the amount of money that was being thrown around in this place. It was insane. I felt so bad because I'm like, I wish I could just have all this money. I wish this money was being thrown at me, you know? Like, it kind of makes me think, you know, maybe I should become a male stripper, you know? Because, like, these people, they must be making bank. I know it's, like, all singles, but, I mean, like, you know, after a couple hours of just, like, piles of cash being thrown at you, like, you got to make a good amount of money in a few hours, right? Not to mention if you do, like, private dances. If they do, like, back-to-back and shit like that. Because there's, like, some people who, Tasty told us about, where, like, they'll have, like, 3 or 4 back-to-back. It's like, dude, if you're having $25, that's $100 for 4 songs. Imagine listening to 4 songs and getting $100 for it. That's mad money right there. That's cash. Like this guy behind me who I was telling you, he was like paying this chick to just like talk to him or whatever. Like when they finished up their conversation, she had to get help from like 2 bouncers to pick up this pile of money that was just like at her feet. Like it was like an inch of cash just below her feet. And they're like all picking it up and they're like throwing it in like this basket. And I'm like, oh, can I just have a portion of that? God, I wish I had that money. Couldn't believe the amount of money being thrown around in this place. I couldn't believe it. Like even the stages, dude. I mean, there was so much cash. Like you guys are making hella dollar bills. Cash money. Just bread. Throwing absolute bread chunks all over the place. I couldn't believe it. I gotta say, maybe I gotta be a male stripper. I mean, there's cash in that business. There's money to be made in that business. The thing is, I don't know. I would feel weird even like being one of those people. I'm like, why are you guys looking at me? This aren't you guys uncomfortable looking at me like this? You know, like I'd be on stage and I'd be like, you guys are weird. I'd be thinking about how weird these people are just looking at me, you know? But yeah, I mean, people love that place, I guess, you know? Giving it 5-star reviews. We didn't get any food there. Honestly, I don't even know where you could get the food. Because like I wasn't given a menu when I was there. It's not like when I got to the bar, they're like, hey, here's a menu. I'm just like, do you have Stella? And they're like, yeah. And they gave it to me. That was it. As far as I know, that's all they had. They only had Stella. That could have been the only product that they had in the entire bar. I would never know because I didn't look at the menu. But but that one guy, he only goes to strip clubs just for the food. So I kind of want to look at a review at that strip club that was next to Taco Bell, who gives out free lunches. See if that guy went there. It's like, what if they have great food? Then I would have been like, oh, maybe we should have went there to get free food, free lunch, and it's good. Maybe we should have, you know. Then we don't have to pay money, you know. Mr. Cheapo over here, don't want to spend money, Mr. Cheapskate. I don't know. People love that place. Felt thoroughly uncomfortable, though. Not going back. Probably not going back. Tasty was like, yo, we got to plan another trip and you got to get the full experience. And I'm like, dude, honestly, I'm cool with not having the full experience. I don't need it. I could die happy having like the worst experience ever at that place. It doesn't matter. I'm not going back because I felt thoroughly awkward being there. Anyways, I guess that's all the time I have for this episode of Lying on Main. That was my trip. That was my Miami strip club review. You know, maybe I'll go on Yelp and maybe I'll put my own little review. But honestly, I don't want to like. I mean, people like the place. I don't want to give it like 1 star and be like, dude, I felt weird being there, because that's like that's me personally. You know, it's not their fault. It's mine. I was just raised right. Anyways. Yeah, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Lying on Main. I've been your host, Jay Lyons. Whatever you guys are listening to this on, make sure to like, subscribe, and follow, and leave a review. All that really helps me out a lot. Really keeps me motivated. Follow me on social media, at RealJLyons and at Lying on Main on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Follow my YouTube channel, or should I say subscribe to my YouTube channel, Jay Lyons. All of it will be linked in the description. So check it out. And I guess that's all the self-promotion I got for today. Maybe tomorrow will be a little different. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. I've been your host, Jay Lyons. Longest outro ever. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Episode 75, baby. Milestone. I think. I could be completely wrong on this. I don't even know if it's actually 74 or not. I'm pretty sure it's episode 74. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Is it 74? God, now I'm tripping. Now I'm like, I don't know. Is it 74? I should probably check, but I'm not going to check now because we're wrapping up. Doesn't matter. You'll know. You'll know if I'm right or wrong. You'll know if I'm dumb or smart. But yeah, catch you guys in the next one. Episode 75, maybe. Big milestone. Love you. Do I, though?